Hello and welcome to the No Bullshit Guide to Ayn Rand's Philosophy of Achievement, the Morality of Thriving. I'm Michael Lewis of Ayn Rand Hero and the Human Thriving Institute, and this is designed to be a short, punchy, no-holds-barred approach to Ayn Rand. Like, why is she valuable? Like, what does she stand for? How do you use her ideas in order to make a difference? And so I just want to cut through the crap and get to the heart of the matter. Now, I might curse in the process because sometimes it just works better. Okay, so there's 5 parts, 5 fundamental ideas that Ayn Rand deals with. And if you understand these 5, it's the 5 fundamental areas of philosophy. If you understand these 5, you'll get why Ayn Rand is powerful, why people who love Ayn Rand love Ayn Rand. I mean, you know, people who like Ayn Rand, they really like Ayn Rand. Why? Right? And why do people not like Ayn Rand? I mean, besides the fact that they haven't read her, they don't really know what she talks about, right? They've only heard what other people have said about Ayn Rand, and those people don't like her and they trust them rather than actually reading Ayn Rand. Okay, but for people who like Ayn Rand, why? Here are the 5 reasons. So first, Ayn Rand says that reality is real. That there's an objective reality out there, right? That orange juice is different than iron, which is different than petroleum. Like things, like the world is the way that it is. Existence exists. So that's the first thing. She says that there's a reality out there that we can deal with, that we live within, that we have to work within. Part 1. Part 2, she says that we can use reason to get an increasingly powerful understanding of reality. That we can study how reality works and use our intelligence to understand it, to make sense of it, to study it, to measure it, to test our understandings. Typically, we call this science and the scientific method, right? We use reason to do that. Now, these are basic ideas. They're common sense. I mean, you would really have to be an intellectual to doubt these 2 things, that reality exists and that we can know it through reason and rationality, that we can understand it, right? Because this is the world we live in. You're watching this because the world is so consistent that we can record me and you can do it, and we've got all the electronics, and all of that comes because reality has a nature, it exists, and we can know it through reason. Basics. Now, what Ayn Rand says is, third, you, as a human being, are part of reality, which means that you have a nature. Some things lead to your life and your flourishing and your thriving, and other things lead to your death and your shriveling and suffering. Right? That you have a nature, and that ethics is about creating a set of guidelines and principles that has you work with your nature, the nature of reality, the nature of yourself, such that you thrive, such that your life gets better and better and better, such that the possibility that you are as a human being can be realized. So your integrity gets deeper, your capacity to love increases, your capacity for creative work becomes more powerful and accelerated. But that's the purpose of ethics. Ethics is a set of guidelines that have you use reason to understand reality and understand the reality of yourself, such that you make choices that have you thrive rather than shrivel. Right? That's the purpose of reality. And she says that an appropriate morality, an appropriate ethics, is one that teaches you and guides you to think and want and feel and choose and act in such a way that your life gets better and better and better rather than worse and worse and worse. That's the purpose of ethics. Now, she describes that. She says that means that ethics is rational because it's about using reason to understand the world and yourself, such that you can make choices that lead to your life getting better, which she calls self-interest. Right? The founders of the United States and the Enlightenment thinkers called it enlightened self-interest, meaning It's you're making your life actually better. That's the point, to use reason to understand reality and the reality of yourself in order to make your life better. She calls that rational self-interest, and she says that's the essence of morality. The essence of morality is to use reason, to use your intelligence to make good choices such that your life is better. Right? And that leads to the fourth major idea, which is politics. Like, how do you extend this moral premise? How do you extend ethics to groups? What's the appropriate way to treat other people? Right? How do you treat other people? Well, if you are responsible for what you think and what you feel and what you want and what you choose and what you act, if you are the author and the authority of your own choices, and it's your moral responsibility to learn to understand the world such that you, according to your best reason, make the best choices you have possible. If you have that, so does everyone else. And just as you are the author of what you think and feel and want and choose and act, just as you are that, so is everyone else. And so the appropriate relationship to other people is you recognize and honor and respect their individuality. You respect them as individuals who have their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own desires, their own choices, and their own freedom to act. That you give them the right? That you recognize that they have the right because they're the author of their lives. They're the authority of their lives. You give them the right to act according to their own conscience. In the American system, the founders always talked about life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness, which means that you are protected. Your life can't be put in danger. Right? People don't get to kill you. Right? You have the right to life. You have the right to liberty, which means that you get to choose how you live according to your own values. You get to pursue happiness as you see fit. And you have the right to property, meaning, like, if you own a phone, no one gets to take your phone from you. It's your phone. You have the right to own things, including you own yourself. And when you recognize each person's right to do that, then you're acting politically, morally. That's the moral way to treat other human beings. That's the appropriate ethical way to treat other human beings, which is that you recognize their individuality and you respect their individual rights. Now, this is where people start to not like Ayn Rand, because if you believe that you have the right to tell someone else how to live, if you want to be able to control other people and tell them how to live and say what they should do and what they shouldn't do and what they can do and what they can't do, if you want to control other people, then Ayn Rand's philosophy is a pain in your ass, because Ayn Rand says it's immoral. It's not your place to tell other people how they should live their lives. They are the author and the authority of their lives. They get to choose how they live. It's not your place to tell them, and you don't get to use force to tell them how to live. That is the fundamental immorality. That is unjust. One of Ayn Rand's cardinal virtues is justice, which means you respect the individual rights of other people, and you only give them what you believe you should give them, based on the value that they offer you. Because you're the author of yourself, they're the author of themselves. And so the only appropriate relationship between the two of you is mutual discovery, mutual agreement, mutual voluntary association. If you're a guy and you want to have sex with another guy, go for it. It's none of my business. Right? If you're a woman who wants to have sex with a woman or multiple women or multiple people, it's not my business. I don't get to tell you about how you get to make your choices. Right? If you want to pay them to have sex with you, and they're willing to do that, they say, yes, if you pay me, I will have sex with you, right? then that's fine. I don't get to tell you, no, you can't do that. Because that would be violating your rights. Like, what you do with this person is none of my business. Unless you're going to use force or fraud, you're going to defraud someone, right? Against their will, right? If you go to John, if you rape someone, you're using force against them? Wrong. That is wrong. That violates their individual rights. Right? Just like I can't violate your rights, you can't violate their rights. This is the fundamental objectivist Ayn Rand principle of politics. How do you treat other people? You treat them with respect. You respect their individual rights. And again, if you want to control other people, if you want to be able to tell other people how to live, then you're not going to like Ayn Rand. Because Ayn Rand says, excuse my French, fuck you. Fuck you. You don't get to tell me how to live. You don't get to tell me what to think, how to feel, what to want, what I choose, how I act. You don't own me. I own myself. I am not your slave. And you are not my slave. You are no one's slave. You are an individual and you have individual rights. You have the right to act according to your conscience, to think according to your conscience, to relate with other people according to your conscience. That is the appropriate relationship between human beings. If you want to trade with someone, if you make a mutual agreement with someone, and I don't like it, right? You want to buy cocaine, and then you want to use cocaine, right? That's none of my business, because it's your life, your choices. Right? That's an appropriate politics, according to Ayn Rand. Right? Leave me alone to live my life according to my values. I am not your slave, you are not my slave. I am not your master, you are not my master. That's the appropriate way of being. And now, people don't like that because most people want to be able to control other people. And when you tell them you can't control other people, they don't like it. Right? Because, we have to control other people. They'll make choices that we don't like. Yeah, deal. Right? This is Ayn Rand's philosophy. And it's absolutely no bullshit. This, and come on, we know it's right. It's not our place to tell other people how to live their life. You don't want people telling you how to live your life. Why do you have the right to tell other people how to live their life? You don't want other people telling you what you have to choose and what you can't choose, who you can't love, who you can't sleep with, what you can't do. Of course you don't want that. Why? Because it goes against your nature. You are the only one who can think for you. You are the only one who can choose for you. You are the only one who can value for you. Right? Now, if you don't want to take responsibility, I don't want to be an author, right? Well, then you're a child. Right? We don't hold children responsible in the same way as adults, but children don't get the freedoms and the opportunities and the benefits of being an adult. Like, you got to make a choice. Are you going to take responsibility for your life, or are you going to be a child? Right? Ayn Rand says, take responsibility for your life. It's your life, for God's sakes. And that leads to the fifth piece, which is aesthetics, which she calls romantic realism. What she says is, what's the highest possible value that you could pursue? Right? What is the most beautiful thing that you can imagine? What is most true for your self and soul? What are your deepest values? Right? When it comes to other people, right, not only do you trade with them, but you can love them. They can become your friends, your lovers. They can become part of a community. Right? You can interact with other people such that it becomes beautiful. I mean, first, no force, no fraud. Right? You don't get to lie to people and take their money and then not provide them with the thing. Like, that's unjust. That's immoral. But that's just the beginning. Like, what can you create with other people? What can you create through business, through art, through intimacy, through love and friendship and partnership and co-creativity and partying and celebration? What's possible for human being? Asking that question. Like working to figure out what is the highest possible good that I can devote my life to. Right? And then how do I make that happen? And how do I use art to inspire me for that? Because that's what Ayn Rand did. She wrote novels. What were her novels? They were her attempt to say, here's what's possible for human being. Here's the ideal human being. Here is a heroic human being. Like, read my books and feel what it's like to be in the presence of a truly heroic being, a being who focuses on reality, treats reality seriously, uses their best reason to make sense of it, takes full responsibility to rationally build their own lives in concert with other people, in using respect, immaculate respecting other people's individual rights, such that they can create the highest possible good. Right? That's Ayn Rand. I mean, it's no bullshit. It's the hardest philosophy you will ever take on because it says you are 100% responsible for learning to understand reality, which is not easy. Like, reality's complex. Reason is demanding. Right? To really be rational, to think things through, to understand things, to define your terms carefully, to build an integrated philosophy of life. It's hard. To take responsibility for your life, to own, I am 100% responsible for myself. I'm responsible for what I think, what I feel, what I want, what I choose, how I act. I am 100% responsible. I will not ask anyone to sacrifice themselves for me. Right? If people like me and they want to invest in me, hell yes. I will, in fact, live my life in such a way that people really like me and they want to interact with me. They want to trade with me. They want to do projects with me. They care about me. Why? Because I'm a good person. Of course I want that. But I am responsible. I do not demand of anyone else that they take responsibility for me. Why? Because that would be immoral. I don't have a claim on you, and you don't have a claim on me. Right? Respect. Ayn Rand heroes treat people with immaculate respect, which allows them to have the deepest possible friendships and romantic relationships. Right? Because when you deal with reality and you use your best reason, you take 100% responsibility and you treat people with immaculate respect, it opens up the possibility of realization, of realizing what's truly possible for human beings. This is Ayn Rand. This is the game. No bullshit. It's the hardest thing. It's the hardest philosophy you can possibly take on. And it's worth it because the more you take it on, the more you deal with reality, focus on reality, the more you use your best reason, the more you take responsibility, the more you treat people with respect, in service of the highest possible realization. The more you focus your mind on those things, the more you act in such a way that your life gets better and better and better. Your integrity gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Your relationships become richer and more fulfilling and more enlivening. Your work becomes increasingly powerful and productive. Your sense of beauty expands. Your sense of fulfillment in life increases. The more, the more. If you do it a little bit, you get a little bit of results. If you do it a lot, you get fantastic results. And in reverse, if you don't deal with reality, if you try to avoid reality, right, it's going to lead downhill because reality doesn't give a shit if you can't. Like, reality is going to do its thing. Water's going to flow downhill. Right? You don't get the right nutrition. You don't maintain your body temperature within a certain range. You're going to get sick and die, period. Reality just doesn't care. If you don't deal with reality, it hurts. If you don't use reason, if you don't think things through, if you don't understand the world and reality, right, then you're going to be stupid. You're going to make idiotic choices. And that's going to lead to pain and suffering and despair. Don't do that. For yourself and others, don't do it. To the degree that you don't take responsibility for your life, that you don't own what you think and what you feel and what you want and what you choose and how you act, to the degree that you don't take responsibility for those things in order to use your best reason about reality in order to create a better life for yourself, to the degree that you don't do that, your life is going to deteriorate. You're going to think dumb thoughts. You're going to feel inappropriately about the world. You're going to want the wrong things. You're going to choose the wrong things. You're going to act in such a way that your life gets worse. If you don't have responsibility, it falls apart to the degree that you don't have it. If you're not treating other people with respect, if you do not honor their similar authority over themselves, your relationships will deteriorate. And to the degree that you're particularly disrespectful, people might actually come after you. You must treat people with respect if you want to build long-term, healthy, repeating, deepening, intimate, loving relationships. Respect is the key. To the degree that you don't do it, it's going to lead you down the path towards hell, towards ugliness. And to the degree that you're not about realization, to the degree that you're not looking for what's possible and confronting the world and feeling into what you could be, what you could have, what inspires you, what gets you excited about life, what you find to be beautiful, to the degree that you're not on that, if you act against that, then your life is just going to get uglier and more stale and more dead. The thing about these five, right? Reality, reason, responsibility, respect, realization. The more you do them, the better your life gets. The less that you do any one of them, your life deteriorates. If you don't do all five, your life deteriorates quickly. Okay? This is Ayn Rand's central message. Right? This is what it means to be an Ayn Rand hero. This is like the bottom. Everything comes back down to these five. You have to deal with objective reality. You have to use your best reason. You have to take responsibility for rationally furthering your self-interest, including treating other people with respect so you can build relationships which are fantastic in terms of trade, in terms of happiness, in terms of teamwork and fun and joy and love and sex and romance. And you need to be open to what's possible, inspired by the human potential. This is what it means to be an Ayn Rand hero. This is what all of her heroes do. This is what her philosophy is about. And if you understand that, you'll understand Ayn Rand's philosophy. And you'll also understand why some people don't like it. Because it says you're responsible for your own life. People don't want to hear that. It says that you don't have the right to tell other people how to live. People don't want to hear that, right? Because if you can't tell other people how to live, they might make choices that you don't like. We can't have that. People might do things that we don't like. And that Ayn Rand, she says that we can't stop them. She's evil, right? People might start businesses and make money. They might sleep with the people you don't want them to sleep with. They might make agreements that you don't want them to make. Right? Those people who don't want to take responsibility for themselves, people who want to control other people, aren't going to like Ayn Rand, and for very good reason, because Ayn Rand says that is complete bullshit. It is immoral not to take care of yourself. And it is immoral to try to tell other people how to live. That is immoral. And if you use force to make that happen, whether you do it directly or whether you get a group of people, we're going to vote for this policy to use force against those people so they can't do the thing that we don't think they should be doing, that is immoral. It is unjust. And Ayn Rand says that without equivocation. It is immoral to tell other people how to live their lives. right? It's moral to stop them from hurting other people, from violating other people's rights, right? If someone's using force against another person, we stop them. That's the purpose of laws. That's the purpose of government. Government has that function. It's to protect us from one another's use of force or fraud. If someone makes an agreement to do something, we pay them the money, they don't do it, right? That's violating the agreement. It's violating rights. That's the purpose of government, according to Ayn Rand. And people who want the government to do all kinds of other things, they don't like Ayn Rand for that. But if you know the truth of what she's really about, it's a damn good philosophy. It's demanding, but it's optimal. This is how you create a great life. You deal with reality, you use your best reason, you take 100% responsibility for creating a great life for yourself and the people you care about. You treat other people with respect. You do not dominate them. You do not allow them to dominate you. And you keep your eye on what is the highest possible value. What is the most beautiful thing that you do? What is the highest integrity you can have? And you devote your life to that in your work, in your relationships, in your spiritual development. That's Ayn Rand. So again, I'm Mark Lewis, Human Thriving Institute, Ayn Rand Hero, and I leave you with an exhortation. Make your deepest happiness your highest priority. If you're intrigued by these ideas and you want more, go to AynRandHero.com. That's AynRandHero.com. There's a lot of resources for you to explore how to use Ayn Rand's ideas in order to make your life thrive.